Welcome to the Leighton Contractors Construction Safety Essentials. These are minimum, non-negotiable requirements that all Leighton Contractors personnel must comply with on every Leighton Contractors Construction Division project. This information has been developed for Leighton Contractors personnel who hold a supervisory position of leading hand and above. Our experience and that of our industry clearly shows that the highest injury exposure comes from the same critical high-risk activities. These critical high-risk activities occur across all construction projects and continue to cause personal damage to our people and those with whom we work. The Construction Safety Essentials have been developed to eliminate the continuing unacceptable level of risk by reinforcing the Leighton Contractors' practices necessary to address specific critical risks. The Construction Safety Essentials reinforce our business standards and management system processes. They do not replace them. The Construction Safety Essentials do not address every possible risk that potentially exists on your project. Nothing can replace the need for you to proactively manage risk related to hazards on your project every day. As a leader, you're expected to remain vigilant in your area of responsibility and to ensure that the requirements prescribed in the Construction Safety Essentials are met each and every time we conduct high-risk work. Each one of us as leaders needs to accept personal accountability to communicate the requirements of the Construction Safety Essentials and ensure we manage these identified high-risk activities effectively. The Construction Safety Essentials are designed to provide clear direction for the management of critical risks that our people and those with whom we work are exposed to on a daily basis. These essentials do not address all critical risks. They are the minimum requirements. The Construction Safety Essentials are designed to reinforce Leighton Contractors' construction safety management system procedures, not replace them. You should at all times continue to be alert to other possible risks or hazards in your particular area. These requirements have been developed from lessons learned based on our incident history. We will continue to learn from our experience and may in future develop additional essentials for other critical risks where necessary. Your accountability. The Construction Safety Essentials apply to all projects where Leighton Contractors is involved. As a Leighton Contractor employee, you must adhere to the requirements of each of the essentials at all times. They are non-negotiable. All breaches of an essential will be investigated, and where an employee has been trained, deemed competent, and has violated an essential, disciplinary action may be taken which could ultimately result in termination of employment. You have an obligation and responsibility to report any breaches that you see that are out of your control to your supervisor or leader once removed. Before commencing work, make sure each work activity containing a critical risk as deemed by the Construction Safety Essential must be assessed, managed and recorded in Active Risk Manager prior to commencement. When considering risk treatment options, the first consideration must be to eliminate the risk. Where the risk cannot be eliminated, the hierarchy of controls must be applied where the highest possible level of control is selected. Critical risk covered by the Construction Safety Essentials cannot have administrative or personal protective equipment selected as the principal control except under exceptional circumstances, which must be approved in writing by the project manager or direct manager of the project. No person can be appointed to the Construction Safety Essential activity unless they have satisfactorily completed a training course in the specific essential. When developing safety, health, and environment work method statements, hazards identified and controls determined in the risk review process and those identified by work teams will be incorporated into the Safety, Health and Environment Work Method Statement. Critical risk activities require a higher level of supervision. Supervisory arrangements appropriate to the level of risk shall be determined so the work team knows who their supervisors are. The responsible supervisor will ensure that all people involved in the critical risk activity have been consulted and provided an opportunity to comment on the proposed system of work, have received instruction in the Safety, Health and Environment Work Method Statement, have been trained and deemed competent to undertake the work, understand the risks and controls. The supervisor must be able to demonstrate at any stage of the activity that the nominated controls are in place and are being implemented. All relevant licenses and permits to work must be obtained prior to commencement of the work. The appropriate emergency response to critical risk activity must be planned, known by all involved in the activity, and be ready to be implemented. A permit to work must be obtained and authorised by the project director or manager before commencing any work involving hot work, explosives, man-box, excavation or penetration, confined spaces, work at heights, work in the vicinity of overhead power lines, use of a harness as the primary means of control, isolation and energization of hazardous energy, any other activity identified through the risk assessment requiring a permit. All authorised permits must be readily available in the vicinity of the task location. The permits must define the work, identify the risks involved, and define the specific control measures to be used. Reference the applicable Safety, Health and Environment Work Method Statement. Have a defined start and end time, and be no longer than one shift, or where personnel changes occur to those conducting the task. Identify any other activities impacted by the work. Specify the personnel authorised to do the work and identify the responsible, competent person. Require all personnel involved in the activity to sign off on the permit. Every effort must be made to eliminate the need to work at heights, commencing with the safety in design process. Where elimination is not practicable, workers at heights shall be protected by carrying out work on a level surface with secure, compliant, fixed edge protection. Harnesses are not to be used as a primary means of control without approval in writing by the project manager or without the approval in writing of the project manager. Harnesses are not to be used as a primary means of control without approval in writing by the project manager's or director's direct manager of the project. A work at heights permit is required where there is a potential to fall 2 meters or more and there is no compliant fixed edge protection. The applicable Safety, Health and Environment Work Method Statement must be compliant with the approved Construction Division Work at Heights procedure and include the following: any controls necessary to prevent people falling, the identification and control of falling objects, the use of exclusion zones, rescue arrangements for all people working at heights, relevant training or competency requirements to complete relevant training and competency requirements to competently complete the work. All equipment, including elevated work platforms and scaffolding, must be fit for purpose, compliant and approved for use, inspected prior to use, used and maintained in accordance with manufacturer's instructions and specifications or approved design documents, operated and maintained by approved competent personnel. Where a fall arrest or restraint equipment is used, its identification, safe use, inspection, maintenance, storage, training, recovery competency, and supervision requirements must be clearly documented and understood by every person involved in the activity. All anchor points to be used in work at heights are to be clearly identified and certified by a qualified and competent engineer. This will include the use of tagging defining the workload. This will include the use of tagging defining the safe working load of each anchor point.